Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the fourth session of Meet Our Inspiring Graduates. At today's session, we have two of our successful alumni joining us. The first one to be presenting is Ms. Moody Al-Sudairi. So she graduated from PSU in 2018. She also earned her master's in sports administration, and she currently works for the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee. So I would like to welcome Ms. Moody, and please, you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ivana and Dr. Dina. And I would like to thank PSU in general for this opportunity, for allowing us to speak about our journey and our success and still keeping on contact with us. I'm sure every graduate would appreciate that. I'm gonna start with the name of the presentation, which is From PSU to the Olympics and Beyond. And maybe throughout this presentation, you will understand why I named it this way. So if there's one thing I would like each and every one of you to get out of this presentation at the end of the day is, how can your passion be your future? And that is one thing I'm proud of, is that I work in a field where I have always been passionate about since I was young. And I hope each of you achieves that, because it gives you a great sense of satisfaction at the end of the day that you're doing something you love. So the journey, I'm gonna say in general, I graduated in 2018 from PSU. I did my co-op in the General Sports Authority in the PR and Media Department, which is now called the Ministry of Sport. And currently I work in the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and I did my master's in MSA. We will go in depth into each one of them. So, and here it's important to understand that I work in the International Relations Department as a senior specialist, and I got my master's in sports administration this year. So first, we'll go through the beginning and then to the end, which is not the end, let's say currently where I'm at. So PSU, I was in the College of Humanities, Linguistics, English language for professionals, did my co-op in the General Sports Authority in 2018. And then Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee since 2019 till currently. And then my master's. So the start of it all was PSU, my beloved university. I think while doing this presentation, I struggled with actually just highlighting things that I benefited from PSU, or why PSU is, to me, an important part of my success and my journey. And I summed it up in 4, not because they're the only 4, but because I can talk about them in depth. So we go from professors. And I think the role of professors is not just important in the classroom, it is outside of the classroom. And I think that's something that PSU students, and I think especially in College of Humanities, can say, is that our professors influenced us not just inside of our classrooms. We were able to have human interactions, relationships with our professors, and I think that builds the confidence of a student, and it allows them to be who they are naturally in the classroom and outside. And then the courses helped tremendously, even while doing my master's. And it benefited me even in my career while working. I mean, we write letters, we write emails, and all that really helps prepare you for work and your career. And then activities and opportunities and the extracurricular activities that we were able to have in PSU, I think that's also, again, something that many PSU students can say we had. The opportunities such as, seminars, competitions, and even sports competition, we were able to have them early on where many universities in Saudi didn't have them. So we were able to do many things that many Saudis didn't or couldn't have them. And then most importantly for me was actually personal development. And I can highlight that in the fact that we were always encouraged to, I think, do what we wanted or be who we are in the limits of course, being professional and in an educational surrounding. But I never felt like who I am or my creativity, let's say, was in a box. I felt like I was able to do, be creative. I was able to join the clubs that I wanted to join. I was able to do these activities, and it helped with my personal development. I was able to be much more outgoing, vocal, even in my work now. And I think it started with PSU. And then, so achievements, I summed it up into work and others, because again, I was allowed to even, have my part-time job in PSU, where I worked in the PSU administration office for, I would say, 3 or 4 years. The start of every semester for a week, and sometimes we would do it more depending on the needs of the administration office. And then also the PSU Teaching and Learning Center for 1 semester. All of these gave me, let's say, the basic skills that I would need in a job, and working under pressure, especially in the administration office. And then we moved to other things that I was able to participate in and do. I was a student in an instructor in Masar. I also presented in the 4th undergraduate research. I developed a campaign plan to promote the ELP track. Since I was one of the first students to, I was actually the first student to graduate. I can remember my graduation walking alone. I was the only ELP graduate. So me and my colleagues, even the younger ones, we were able to, see the development of the ELP track, and we were helping the department with the plan. And part of our courses, we actually did it to promote the ELP. So we did a campaign, and it's something I'm very proud of, because we were not just, promoting something just for the sake of a course or for the sake of promotion. We were actually very passionate about, and I believe that the ELP was a great start for many students who choose this track, and it will help you tremendously. And then the 3rd Inter-University Translation Competition in 2016, of course, I wasn't a translator. I was working on the booth, and we won 1st place. So again, I was able to be creative with the games that we did, and we did a lot of creative, funny games that time. And I was also the former captain of PSU basketball team, and that's where, again, my passion even shows in my PSU life. I was very into sports, and I can say that I think PSU should be proud that many of the athletes, the basketball athletes, actually participated in the first ever Saudi basketball league. And my team and some of the graduates from PSU were part of that team that won the first ever women's professional basketball league. And I think that's something PSU should be proud of. And then I was also the former president of the literary club for, I think, 1 semester. And it was an amazing semester and an amazing club to be part of, to be honest. And then I'm still a member of the advisory board for the College of Humanities in PSU. So the General Sports Authority in 2018, which I did a 7-month co-op. What was needed? I think first, I needed my communication skills that I gained through PSU and my courses, or as I said, with my professors outside even the classroom. And it was very important. Personal skills, such as, I put time management, problem solving, but I think many of your personal skills that you develop inside of PSU will be used in your co-op. And I think I highlighted 2 other important things, which is confidence and acceptance, because I think I struggled with these 2 during my co-op, which is being confident. And, if I knew something, I can voice out saying, hey, I know how to do this, or I know this information. I think at the beginning I was shying away from this. But again, since PSU kept pushing us further, to present, to always say what we wanted, I guess, let's say, or what we needed. And I think that gave me the confidence to speak up, and say, hey, I can do it. And I was part of the team that managed the Saudi, let's say, the Saudi delegation in the World Cup in 2018 in Russia. So I traveled to Russia during my co-op and I was the lead volunteer there. Again, that's where the confidence comes from. And then acceptance. It's not just acceptance of people, it is mostly acceptance of change. And working in sports, it's a really fast-paced, changing environment. So you need to accept the change that happens and adapt to it. Also accept where they would tell you, well, yeah, we don't like this, or this is not what you need. And I think you need to accept these criticisms, or I wouldn't say criticisms, just guidance through the wrong path, and you need to accept that. And I think this thing also started in PSU, where many of the professors would, be like, what if you did this? It would have been better, and since many of our professors are also, foreigners, I think it gave me a look of other cultures, let's say, a feel of other cultures. And, in sports nowadays in Saudi, and the Ministry of Sport, let's say, or even in the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, there's many foreigners. And I think that's a very important skill that I gained in PSU. So we moved to my favorite part, second favorite, since the favorite part was PSU. And I'm not lying there. It's the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, where I still work in. It's my ultimate passion is the Olympic movement and Olympic sports and sports in general. So I work in the International Relations Department as a senior specialist. So everything I needed, if we go back to the reality, I learned actually in PSU, or let's say most of what I needed here. I learned at the beginning in PSU, but I needed to develop it further. And I think that's on you as a person to develop these skills. For example, writing emails. Yeah, we learned writing emails, but it's on you also to develop the skill. Writing letters, you develop this skill. Even the research skills, we would have some political aspects, since I work in international relations, where we would need to actually research a lot of information and present it in a presentation. And all these skills, again, we learned in PSU, but you need to develop it further and know where to look for it regarding certain information. So it is very important for you to continue developing yourself and the skills you gain in university. So why I said to the Olympics and beyond is there, because I can proudly say I was part of the Tokyo 2020 delegation. And I walked during the opening ceremony. I don't know if you can see me there, but yeah, I'm there in the picture. I'm the one taking pictures with my phone. It's a moment that I'm extremely proud of. And I think many people who work in the Olympic movement wait for the Olympics to happen and, do their job, I guess. Yes, it was sad that it was during a lot of COVID restrictions, but I was able to look at, be part of something that I always wanted to be. Yes, not as an athlete. I was the international relations specialist for this game. So other things that I participated in, which I'm also extremely proud of, is Asian Games 2018 in Jakarta. I was managing the Saudi house. Bids, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a bid is. So basically a bid is where you prepare a bid manual or book to be able to host certain events. So you would compete with other countries to host this event. So I participated in preparing two bids, which is the Riyadh Asian Games 2034, which thankfully we won. And then recently, and that created a huge buzz in Saudi and outside of Saudi, the bid that we won for Trojena hosting the Asian Winter Games, of course, not the Olympic Winter Games, it's the Asian Winter Games 2029 in Trojena in Neom. And I think that was it was a dream to be part of that team. And, thankfully we got that. Events, I just put, in general, the OCA General Assemblies, we would, part of being in international relations, I think, is traveling a lot. And it is something that you have to get used to if you choose international relations. I mean, I just came back from a trip in Cambodia where we got the Trojena win for the Asian Winter Games. So we constantly travel, we constantly learn. And the Saudi Games, which I'm sure many of you have heard of or seen signs of, I was part of the team that prepared the Saudi Games. And the MSA, which is a tough part and a part that I loved so much. And I struggled a lot with, actually. So I should say that I was able to get the scholarship for this master's through the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, because we apply to this scholarship. It's called the ANOC scholarship if you're part of an Olympic committee, if you're an employee. So I was actually the only one that got this scholarship between all my colleagues ever in Saudi. And even in my university at that time, I was the only student that had a full scholarship from ANOC, which I'm, of course, extremely proud of. So we can say that the Olympic Committee gave me this chance. So I summed it up in the program and internship struggles and PSU influence. So my master's in sports administration, I got it in the Russian International Olympic University. It's located in Sochi. Sochi is the city that hosted the Winter Olympics. So I was closer to actual Olympic scene. I was able to look at Olympic venues, and it was a dream, honestly, to be there. Of course, the program was in English, not in Russian, in case any future questions come up where they would ask me, do you speak Russian?
Thank you, Ms. Moody, so much. Could I just ask you to wrap it up in the next 2 minutes so that we can have some time for questions and the next session? Thank you so much.
That's actually my last slide. So the program it was a very intense program where we had, each week we would have a different subject, and we would prepare different presentations, different essays. We wrote a lot of essays, and of course a research at the end. My internship, again, where passion comes, I did my internship in the International Federation of Basketball in Switzerland for a month. So the struggle, I think the main struggle, which I'm sure many of you thinking, I was there during when the war started between Russia and Ukraine, and I think that was the main struggle there. And then the language barrier is another struggle. And then PSU influence, of course, the main influence lies where we had to prepare a lot of essays and research, and I think I was prepared to do that by PSU. And of course, it's much more intense than PSU, but I think there was a huge part of the influence, or at least I was able to write research with ease because I learned how to do that. So thank you everyone for listening, and I'm ready for all your questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moody, for this very inspiring session and very interesting session. Now, let's see if we have any questions. I would invite our audience to ask questions.
Can I start? Just ask one question for Dr. Ivana. If I may just ask, why sports? What took you to that direction, Moody?
I think many of you, if you remember me during university, you'd remember I was very active in sports. Since I was a kid, I would watch the Olympics with my family. I mean, my family is a pretty active family and we love sports in general, but it was always a passion of mine, and sometimes it's borderline obsession in sport. And I watch a lot of sports, not just football. I watch basketball, tennis, volleyball, handball. I watch a lot of sports, and it is truly a passion of mine. So that's why I wanted to do my co-op in sports. And I was then asked by the Olympic Committee if I can join them because they saw my work. And of course, without hesitation, I chose the Olympic Committee, and I would choose it all over again because I love the Olympic movement.
Okay,
I
thank
hope
you.
that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Modi. There is a question in the Q&A.
Yes.
Was it stressful in the co-op?
So I would say it was pretty, I think, enjoyable. As I said, I think I enjoyed it more than anyone because I was very passionate about it, but also because I got to travel. And I remember many of my friends were very jealous of that fact that I was able to travel and be part of the World Cup. But in a lot of sense, it was stressful because due to my, I think, personal struggles, it wasn't just the work environment, because I was sometimes not confident. So that's why I would say ask questions always. Never hesitate to ask questions. It will take you, a long way.
Thank you. I
If
apologize. Something
anyone
happened with
would
my...
like, by the way, I'm sorry, Dr. Ivan, I just wanted to make everybody aware that I've allowed everybody to talk. So if someone would like to talk and unmute themselves, they can.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was dropped from the call. I think it was my connection.
Any questions or comments, you can just unmute yourself or write in the Q&A.
Yes, and if we don't have any further questions, we might continue with our next presenter.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, is that Miss Asma?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, منورين يا بنات بسمة وموضي. Thank you for showing up. Actually, we enjoy having you today. So, Moody, I'm very proud of the accomplishments that you have. And our next speaker is also another brilliant PSU graduate. She has graduated 9 years ago from Sultan University, and she's currently a project manager at And More Project Management Co. Riyadh. She has also an MPA degree from Talal Abu Ghazala University College for Innovation from Jordan. She has worked in different roles in her career path that helped her gain good experience professionally and personally. The floor is yours, Ms. Basma. Please start.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to join you today, and I would like to thank you all for giving me this chance to be part of this session. This is me for those who never met me before. I am a project manager and a freelance translator at the same time. I worked in different roles that have shaped my experience and improved me in career and personal level. First, let me start with my journey at Sultan University. I started my education at PSU in 2010 in English department. My major was translation, and I graduated with the GPA of 3.58, second honor. I remember I used to be a member in different clubs in PSU. Like one of them is the Toastmasters Club for improving my presentation skills. And another one is Muslim Youth Club. I was a translator and the public relations officer. I don't know if these clubs are still there in PSU. We used to organize and do many activities for the students and initiatives. I graduated in 2014. and I did my co-op at Al Hayat newspaper, where I will talk more in details. Now, let me talk about my job positions. As I told you, I worked in different roles that I will talking briefly now with you about every and each one of them. In 2014, I worked as an intern translator at Al Hayat newspaper. In 2016, I worked as an English teacher at Adwa Al Hidayah International School for 3 years. In 2019, I worked as a translator in Nobel Smile Dental Care and the Raya Gate Development Authority. And since I was in the university until now, I work as a freelance translator to translate general, medical, and technical texts. And now I work as a project manager at And More Project Management Company. Now let's start. One of my favorite experience and roles I had in my career path is working in co-op training and as an intern translator at Al Hayat newspaper. It was, it's like the first work experience after studying, and it's like it can be a transition period from studying to real work life. What I used to do there is I used to search for and translate, edit, and publish the news from different fields, health, technology, and culture. And, our co-op is for 7 months. So the first 5 months was text about health, technology, and culture. And the last 2 months, I translated text about sports and the World Cup. I also did press coverage and writing in the local news. Here is one of the examples, one example of how I used to work in Al Hayat. This is an article from an Australian newspaper. And in the second slide, you can see the translation of the article with my name in Al Hayat newspaper. The articles used to be published in the website and in the Twitter account of Al Hayat newspaper at that time. And of course, the articles used to appear in the must-read in the website. So that gave me a sense of achievement. Here's another article I wrote after doing a press coverage for the newspaper, the local news. The other one, also an example of the articles that was published in the kids page in the printed edition of Al Hayat newspaper. So, one of the great things in working at a newspaper is that your name can appear in the published articles. But unfortunately, if you search now for Al Hayat newspaper, it's totally closed in 2018, I guess. So I advise you all to take pictures of your work, so to keep it in case anything happens in the place you work in. Sorry for the maybe because you shared it from an editable file. For the mistakes of achievements, no problem. Yeah, so the achievements I did in Hayat, as I told you, I translated more than 110 news articles from Hayat newspaper for the digital edition. And I wrote more than 7 articles about the subjects related to the local news and the kids. I, of course, gained great experience in journalism translation and learned a lot of journalism skills and writing. I applied the Hayat style of writing that made my work in less need of the editing before the publishing. Now let me talk about the second job position. Yes. In 2016, I started my work as an English language teacher for 3 years. And here is a picture of my students and the gifts I used to give them. Of course, actually, the English skills I learned from PSU has enabled me to be a good teacher at, I would say that. Of course, being a teacher in a school gave me an experience on how to deal with different personalities of the students, and I could see the remarkable students' progress. And of course, I was complimented from my supervisors and co-workers in my experience as a teacher. It's good to keep yourself updated and start new things, and of course, to practice the language and with others. Also, as a translator, I worked at Noble Smile Dental Care as a remote translator while I was studying in my MBA in Jordan. I used to write news articles for them about the clinic, and I did some administrative work for them. The clinic has patients from the US Embassy and non-Arabic speakers, so they need some translations and English documents for them. Another place I worked, for the next slide, please. Yes, another place I worked is I worked as a translator is at Diriyah Gate Development Authority, DGDA. I got experience there to translate legal and technical translation texts, legal and technical texts. I translated for the urban planning and municipal affairs for documents of more than 7,000 words for the building permits, about the building permits and the municipal rules. So I got very good experience other than the journalism translation. Okay, here, let me talk about that freelance translation experience. I remember when I was in PSU, I took a workshop about LinkedIn. It's called LinkedIn for Students and Building Your Professional Brand in 2014, I remember. This, of course, helped me or taught me how to update with the work and to be updated with the work environment, and how to build up my network on LinkedIn and to reach new clients. So I will tell you how I used to. And the next slide, please. Yes, here how I work as a freelance translator. I reach client on LinkedIn or from my friends or relatives or so on. I negotiate the time and the quotation with the client depending on the length of the text and the complexity. Then I set the time and get the approval of the quotation and send the translation on time. Here are some of my clients. I translated packages for Dumidu and Adlal, and this document for a professor from Imam University. He asked me to translate this document for him to Arabic. Sample of my work. Now let me talk about my master's degree in brief. I studied master's degree in Master of Business Administration at Talal Abu Ghazali University, College for Innovation. During my study, honestly, most of the skills, like the research skills and the way how we are used to the essay questions or essay writing, which are needed skills in the masters. I remember that I feel that I already have them, so it made it easy for me to handle my studying. One of the achievements is that when I received this email from my doctor or my professor, asking my colleagues to congratulate me for publishing my first research paper, which is about the influence of social media applications on youth purchasing decision at the University of Jordan. If you wrote my name in Google, you can find the paper and read it if you have time. Now, this is how the article appears in the journal. It's an international journal. And finally, I got my certificate 2 weeks ago, and this is me again in my graduation. Now, let me conclude this presentation with my current job. I work at More Project Management Company. It's basically a corporate event management company. We do calendar celebrations, and we organize events for corporates like the National Day and so on. It's a project management company. What I do there is I develop technical proposals, develop financial proposals, and they need them in English and Arabic, of course, for depending on the client. And I supervise the execution and delivery of the projects, and I follow up with the suppliers and clients. The next slide, you can see some of the projects I worked in, and here in one of them is the booth, and one of them is the National Day for Door Hospitality and different clients. If you want to do any event in PSU, you can contact me and I would do it for you. Now, let me finalize it now. Yes, I will talk about how PSU is one of the reasons for my achievements. Of course, the good quality of education. Please, the final slide. The different varieties of the translation subjects have gave me the ability, of course, to be confident and to try and work in different roles. And to try different fields of translation, like general, legal, technical, and so on. Also, attending the clubs and different workshops at the university was important for me. That enhanced my skills and broadened my network and connections with colleagues and instructors, and it's an important skill in the career. Also, the CAT tools, the computer-aided translations that we took at the university has helped me in my freelance work. It's important to learn the basics for them and to practice working on these CAT tools. Finally, the research skills, as I told you, has helped me on my MBA and work experience. And thank you all for listening. If you need any questions, I'm ready to answer.
What a brilliant presentation, Basma, mashallah.
Thank you.
All right, Basma, let me start with a question from the Q&A, and then I will ask a question on my own. One of our attendees is asking, is traveling part of your work?
Traveling? Yes, it is. If we have projects in other company or in a company in other city, yes, we can travel there.
And it says, is it hard?
It is hard, but it's fun at the same time.
All right. Now, I want to ask you a question, Basma, about the job opportunities you had when you graduated. I could see that you were first staying 1 or 2 years and then changing between translator, teacher, project manager. Is there a specific reason for this, or it was a matter of like exploring more opportunities, or what?
It is, I would say, my personality, maybe, or it's, I like to explore new things. I tried different job positions, and I don't. It's like where the opportunity came, I go for it. So, and now this is part of my career. Now is that the project management is the project manager is somehow to work in different projects, and to you don't keep up with the routine of the same project or the same job or so on. So I would say it's maybe my personality.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, any more questions or comments? You have a question here.
Yes, I think
Asma, would you like to take the questions?
Yes, I think Dr. Modi and Basma got our students dreaming of jobs that they have and travel at the very same time. Because, mashallah, both of you have very interesting, challenging jobs that you showed us really a different part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Q&A, we have a question. Is it easy to be a freelance translator during studying?
Yes. Yes, I worked as a freelance translator while I was studying my master's. It depends. You know, freelance translator translation, I would say it's like having your own project. It depends on you. If you are free, you can take the job. If you are busy, you can just postpone it for the next project or next request, I would say, for translation. So this is a good thing about freelance translation.
And I have a question here for both of you, Modi and Basma. It's again from one of our attendees. Do you recommend joining lots of clubs and doing more volunteer work?
Yes, yes, of course. You will really learn a lot. You will meet up with different people and have good relations. So I advise you all to join clubs in Prince Sultan University and learn new things.
I agree with Basma, and I would like to add, it's not just also about meeting new people, and I think it's also developing yourself as a student, and in many ways it could show you what you like and what you dislike. Because you're working with people and you're doing actual things, you know, then you'll be like, oh, maybe I don't like this, I like this, and maybe it will help you with, you know, figuring out yourself earlier in life than maybe at work. So I think joining new things and trying new things is always recommended.
All right, I have a question again for both of you, because I saw Basma talking about CAT tools, talking about different translation courses, and I also saw Modi talking about writing courses. If you were, again, because Modi is from applied linguistics and Basma is from translation, if you were really to choose 3 courses that you would say these were the ones that really, really helped me a lot once I graduated. Of course, I'm sure there are so many courses, but the 3 top courses, what would that be and why?
Maybe I can start, Basma.
Yes.
So I think one, for sure, it's the research writing, because it gives you the basis of how to write a research, even for masters. Yes, there's additions and there are different things, but it is the basis. At least it will tell you, you know, how to go on about a research, the references, and all that, and the citations. You get the feel of what a research is at the end, even if it's slightly different. For me, it was a bit different, but not really that much different. And another one, it's in applied linguistics. It's about a political analysis. I don't know if you still teach it, but because I work in international relations, a lot of my work is really political. Yes, they say supposedly that sports is not politics, but in international relations, you understand that a lot of it is politics, especially if you're bidding and so on. So it gave me a political ability to read, you know, the political scene, even in a speech. Let's say there is a speech or discourse, and I would read it and be able to at least analyze it to some degree. So I think that helped me. And I would say, I don't know if it's called professional writing, where we learn to write emails, letters. I think that really helps, and I think students should really focus on that course, because you would need letters and emails everywhere.
Thank you so much, Modi. Thank you so much. What about Basma?
I agree with Modi, of course. The first thing is the research writing, for those who, especially those who will complete their studies and masters. For me, as you can see, I published the published research paper was in my first semester at my master So because I already have the skills, I think, and I learned, of course, other skills in that course in my master, but the basics, let me say, I already have them. And also the writing and the CAT translation tools. It's good to learn and practice them. It really helped. It really helps, and it will save your time when you translate. And also, it's good to have different translation subjects, and to know the basic of how to translate in different fields and so on. So for the students to learn how, or to choose which field they will focus on, and so on.
Great. I'm reminding everyone, if you have any questions, you can have it in the Q&A, or you can unmute yourselves, of course. But I have another question, if you don't mind, until people write their questions. Is there something in PSU or in the program, in the Applied Linguistics program or the translation program, that you did not value that much at the time when you were in PSU, and then after graduating, you started to develop a different kind of perspective? You saw it from a different angle. You thought, well, it wasn't that bad after all. Or maybe it was helpful and I didn't realize it at that time.
Yeah. You know, when you are a student, I don't know, sometimes you feel because you don't know how you will use what you are studying, or how you will benefit from them in the work experience. So usually we don't know what will we use, or what will we learn from the subjects or the courses we study. I didn't know, for example, the CAT tools, I didn't know that I will need them in the future. But when I started translating large documents, really it helped me. Although I'm using one of the basic tools, which is SmartCat. It's a cloud, not a software, but it really helps and save time and energy, of course.
Would you like to comment?
Actually, can you repeat the question, because I couldn't hear it?
I was talking about, is there something at the time when you were in PSU that you thought maybe it was not that helpful, or maybe it was not that much needed, but then you changed your perspective after graduation? You looked at it from a different angle and you saw, no, maybe it was helpful. Basma talked about CAT tools, and she said she did not think she would need them that much, but then it turned out that she did in real life, in freelance translation.
I think mostly, to be honest, I thought, well, of course I can write a letter. Of course I can write an email. But I think I should have given it more, let's say, time and thoughts, because I mean, everyone can write, that's for sure. I mean, but if you study linguistics or translation, you write. But I think writing professionally and for professional purposes, and the fact that you have to get used to certain tones in writing, because if you're writing to, for example, the president, it's not the same as if you're writing for example, an email for your boss, let's say. Writing for someone abroad is not the same as in Saudi. So I think that's something I should have given it more time.
Thank you so much, Moody and Basma. We're so proud to see both of you today. So proud to see you both today. Dr. Asma, Dr. Ivana, would you like to say a final comment or a question?
Yes, there is a question actually in the Q&A. So is the co-op process a difficult process to go through to both of you?
For me, it wasn't really difficult, because I was able to get my CV to the department that I wanted, and do the things that I wanted. I was blessed with that, but I can remember clearly that PSU actually helped many students through applying. So maybe that would ease your mind. Maybe Basma has a different perspective.
For me, it wasn't hard. It was a very good experience, and I would advise from my experience, because I worked in different roles and so on. Always, I would say maybe the first month is what's challenging. The first month, because you are still new, you need to learn the things, you need to learn the culture of the environment and so on. Then you can go ahead after that. Maybe it's 1 month or more or less, depending on you. But it's not hard, the co-op. You will really learn and enjoy it.
Another thing I want to add, I remember I said that during my presentation after the my co-op presentation, is I would advise all students to actually apply as early as possible, because the sooner you start with it, the more at ease you are, and the better it is for you, and the more opportunities you will have, because delaying things will never be a really good thing. So just apply as early as you can.
Another question, yeah.
What do you recommend for us to take as elective courses?
I can answer from my perspective. Maybe it's my personality, but I was always set into choosing things that I liked, not necessarily. So I chose all the courses that I liked and loved and I enjoyed, because I like literature. So I tried to stick with that. And I took introduction to business because I thought it would be helpful, and it was actually at least the basis of business in every job you work in. So I chose that out of necessity and wanting to learn more about business, but the rest I chose out of passion and things that I liked, and I knew I would be at least enjoying them.
Yes, I agree with you, Moody. It's good to you can choose something that you like, and something that will, maybe I would say, would benefit you in your career. Well, it's like what you like to do, or if there's something you would like to learn in different majors, or but you can't study, for example, but it will benefit you. You can choose it and take that course.
Amazing. Thank you, dear Modi and Basma, for showing up for today. We actually enjoyed the talk, and we look forward to hearing about your future accomplishments and the news. Please stay in touch, and thank you for the attendees for showing up for today. مع السلامة.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Thank you, Modi. Thank you, Basma. We're so proud of you. So proud
Thank you,
of you.
مع السلامة. See you soon,
Thank you.
inshallah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.